The prototyping costs for this project are generously sponsored by PCBWay. Without PCBWay's help, this project and many other hobbyist projects would not come to fruition simply because of the costs associated with quickly iterating and making changes. Their help is invaluable to many open source creators like myself, and the quality is second to none. If you're interested in getting a prototype done, some 3D printing, or sheet metal fabrication, head on over to their site and check out their many services and products. Thank you, PCBWay. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to do a quick video here since we're coming up on VCF, just to give everybody an idea of what the status of the HB63C09M is. It is a single board computer that I've developed that shares a lot of the design language with the MBC line of computers by Fabio De Fabis. It has no physical ROM and an onboard a microcontroller that handles all the serial I/O for SD cards, I2C, UART, as well as bus arbitration and bank clocking. But it also has some nice enhancements like full bus access on the mezzanine connector, and a very simple primitive request grant mechanism that uses clock stretching. What's ready to go is the bootstrap environment, so we can reset the computer and drop into the bootstrapping environment, which is just a very simple list of commands that lets you set the system environment variables. So for right now, really all you have access to here are the directories, no subdirectories, and reading files. There's no ability to delete or save from the staging environment, and that's just a limitation of the library that we're using to access the SD card for the Arduino. This limitation won't carry over into the volume access that is more similar to the MBC iOS side of accessing the cards, because that's using file system images just like the MBC line of computers. So if you wanted to set to a different image, you can just simply type the command to set a new image and take a look at what you set, and then commit it to the flash on the microcontroller and quit. Drops you out into your new firmware, and it loads it just that fast off the SD card into the RAM. What this is, Dave Dunfield's machine language monitor. I've done some work. Basically, now what it does, instead of getting caught in an infinite loop, if you try to read past the end of memory, it aligns with 16-byte blocks. So it'll show you all the way to the end of memory, and you can take a look at your reset vector without it flipping back over and over again and never reaching an end. So that's nice. But the other thing that Johnny Quest's version of this monitor, which I've used with permission, is that he implemented a way of jumping to BASIC from the monitor directly and leaving BASIC to go back to the monitor without having to reset the computer, which is different from Jeff Tranter's CompoROM. But there's actually probably nothing stopping us from implementing that. It was just already implemented here. It's working pretty good. One of the reasons why I decided to make this my default ROM for the computer. But you can set the default ROM to whatever you'd like. So for now, loading files in BASIC is just by copying the code directly into the terminal. But what's up next is I have to write a wedge that will allow access to volume primitives like tracks, sectors, and volumes. And what this is going to amount to is just a simple set of commands, very likely using software interrupts to make it easy to code, that will allow you to change the disk volume, or select a track, or load sectors into memory. Load the sector, 512-byte sector, into the stack for access. Nothing fancy, but just basically in the way of an example of how to create a very simple DOS wedge to access a volume that's stored on the SD card. And I'm pretty close to finishing that up. I don't know if it'll be ready for VCF, but what will likely be ready for VCF is the final board revision going into release, which I'm hoping to be able to do by VCF Midwest. So what I'm hoping is to have it available for people to try over at the Wisconsin Computer Club's table. They've graciously allowed me to come bring it and set it up so that people can take a look at it. And I probably will have a few PCBs with me, as well as some other things like ZX81 keyboards if people are interested. But it should be a good time, and it should be a good opportunity to take a look at this in the wild if you're in the area in Schaumburg next weekend. Not this coming weekend, but the following weekend. What is that? The weekend of the 7th. Hopefully, I should have this all ready to go by next week sometime. I'm going to see if perhaps I can get the boards expedited to get them here a little bit faster. I have all the parts on hand to build. Actually, a couple of these, so I may have some assembled ones to sell if people are very interested in getting one. That's not a hard promise, though. It just depends upon how quickly I can get the boards. And if the new revision of boards work, which they should, because I believe I've gone through all of the impairments on the original REV4 and everything is working good now on the prototypes. So the boards should be done on this next revision. That's about it. If you have any questions or you're interested in anything further about any of my projects, you can feel free to reach out to me in comments, or you can reach out to me through the usual channels on Hackaday or Facebook. It's typically where I'm sharing all this stuff. So if you're interested, come take a look. Otherwise, I will hopefully see you at VCF. Thanks.